This episode of News Dump is brought to you by Masterclass.
America is back.
Hey, besties.
Sheesh! Rise and shine, gamers.
What's happening, goof troops?
Whoop-de-whoop, here's the scoop.
All right, if for some reason you're confused as to why we just rattled off a bunch of silly introductions to the show, you obviously missed our previous episode where we covered the fact that YouTube's algorithm actually seems to reward channels who have consistent introductions, like, hey guys, or whatever. The ones we just rattled off are some of the most up-liked ones in the comments section, so thanks for contributing and making us look weird, especially to anyone that's watching this channel for the first time. Anyone who's like, oh, nice thumbnail, click, what the hell was that? Immediately leaves after 5 seconds.
Well, and click the little tab. Don't show me any more of this channel ever again.
Was this video helpful?
No.
Sad face.
And yeah, we might actually have some new viewers this time around because, folks, we're working that algorithm hard this week. We got some juicy YouTube drama for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Let's get right into the news.
That's another intro.
Ethan Klein of H3h3 Productions and the H3, you know who Ethan is.
Yeah.
He's apparently being sued for $50 million by Triller.
$50 million.
Which is Triller's the media company who broadcasted the pay-per-view exhibition boxing match between Jake Paul and Ben Askren a few weeks back. They've done a couple other very gimmicky boxing matches over the past year.
Initially launched as a TikTok competitor.
Yeah.
And morphed into this.
So we briefly touched on a story that broke in the days following that match, but let's dive in a little deeper to give you some context surrounding this absurd $50 million lawsuit against H3h3.
So obviously with Jake Paul on the main card and the whole event being more of a circus than a traditional boxing match, the main draw here for eyeballs is a far younger generation. A generation that isn't necessarily used to paying a bunch of money for televised events, considering that a majority of the content they consume is free from places like YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and so on. And since it's so easy for people who grew up on the internet to figure out how to watch something for free, everyone involved in this event knew that it was going to be pirated and that potentially millions of people would end up watching it for free. It's happened every time a YouTube or internet celebrity boxing match has happened so far, so why would this be any different? And Triller knew that it was going to be pirated, and honestly, there's not a lot they could do to stop it. It would be like the world's largest game of whack-a-mole. So instead, it looks like they found a bunch of the more popular links where it was hosted and then announced a blanket legal threat, which was broad enough to scare anyone who'd even watched a pirated stream, let alone actually broadcast it themselves.
You wouldn't download a car.
No.
How much was the fight to watch?
I think it was like 50 or 60 bucks.
Come on. Anyway, from CNET, who reported on all this when it first broke, Triller wants everyone who illegally streamed the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren PPV to pay up. In a statement posted on its Fight.tv website, Triller stated it's giving folks who pirated the event the opportunity to back pay the company $49.99,
$50,
the original cost of the event, as a one-time settlement and release for their unlawful acts. I'm going to close my eyes and whoever pirated the fight,
step up.
Yep.
And no one's going to know who it is.
Yeah, I'm going to just put the $50 on the table, and then I'll open my eyes, and it'll be forgotten.
Absolved of guilt.
Yeah. According to Triller, if those payments are not made, the company will pursue the full $150,000 fine for anyone they can prove streamed the content illegally. Triller believes upwards of 2 million people watched the fight illegally, losing them $100 million as a result of illegal streams. So that's a pretty bold attempt to get a bunch of people scared enough to pay $50 for peace of mind, because they have no fucking idea whether or not they will get caught for watching a YouTube stream of a fight that someone else hosted.
Yeah.
As for the people who actually broadcast the illegal streams, it's worse for them, as you might guess, because the lawsuits are already filed against a bunch of sites with names that you would expect for bootleg streams, like Crack Streams Live, Online 2 Live Streams, My Sports Club, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a separate lawsuit is based around the name that people online definitely know and can put a face behind, H3h3 Productions.
Yeah.
They're suing Ethan, they're suing Gila, they're suing that little baby of theirs, and that little dog of theirs.
Yeah, and your little dog too.
Yeah.
What's crazy about the blanket lawsuit is it's like anyone on Twitter, like a very large social media website that's just scrolling by that happens to see
I saw clips of the fight
or live broadcasts of it, or on YouTube, a site that anyone in the world can access. On YouTube, it's like you see the streams pop up. For years, it was like you could just go on and watch Family Guy, and it's like, look, someone else is hosting this. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy that they think that they could go after someone who's just on YouTube watching it, but whatever. Before we get into all of the H3h3 production $50 million lawsuit stuff, there are some reports that the lawsuit had already been dropped.
That was a different lawsuit.
But it looks like this isn't true because the news apparently relates to the other lawsuits where they were lumped in with other streaming sites. And also Ethan admitted just a few hours ago from when we filmed this on a podcast that his lawsuit is still ongoing. Just clearing that up because this is all still playing out like as we speak. Anyway, here's from Insider.com who reviewed the newest legal documents. Triller's event company has filed a lawsuit seeking $50 million in damages from the H3 podcast, claiming they unlawfully aired the company's Jake Paul versus Ben Askren boxing match on YouTube. The H3 podcast featured one clip from the April 17th fight during an April 22 podcast episode. The episode showed footage from Paul's knockout, streamed from an unlisted YouTube video uploaded on the Klein's channel, as Ethan offered commentary. Quote, "They lumped me in here for what I can only determine is out of spite," Ethan said on a May 7th episode of his podcast. Quote, "My coverage of the fight was totally fair use. I showed 45 seconds of Jake knocking out Ben and commenting nonstop."
The report says that the H3 podcast was originally included in the previous $100 million lawsuit, but then was removed when the company decided to go after them separately.
In, I think, at least one case, the judge was like, I guess they filed it, the original one, as though all of the sites had coordinated
as like a vast conspiracy.
And the judge was like, no, this is not the case. And then they just redirected their sites on a well-known public figure who has, as you're all probably aware, from time to time, said not so nice things about Jake Paul.
Yeah, it's all very convenient, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, from the article. On Monday, Triller Fight Club filed the new lawsuit with the H3 podcast as its only defendant. The complaint, reviewed by Insider, alleges copyright infringement, violations of the Federal Communications Act, and violations of the Consumer Fraud and Abuse Act. Triller said in the complaint that the podcast illegally retransmitted the broadcast of the fight and that the defendant's acts of infringement were willful, in blatant disregard of, and committed with indifference to plaintiff's rights. We are confident H3 will be settling and paying a substantial penalty in the millions in order to avoid the $50 million plus liability, a Triller spokesperson said in a statement. People can try to joke about it, but it is stealing. No ifs and or buts about it. This is a very unserious lawsuit.
And also, in case you're like, oh, well, this is the company going after him, not Jake Paul. What? Even if he had talked shit about Jake Paul is a major investor in the company Triller. So not too far of a line of string you'd need to put up on the wall for that one. So yeah, this is absolutely going to end up, if it goes in front of a judge eventually for sure, would end up being yet another landmark case for what is or isn't considered fair use on YouTube and elsewhere.
And H3 has already been involved in a landmark case of what constitutes fair use. So.
Exactly. Does reporting on and commentating about an event after it's already happened fall under fair use? Or will Triller be able to argue that they still infringed on their copyright? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. We are absolutely not lawyers, but it seems as though the $50 million number is just absurd. And like Elliot said, this isn't the first time Ethan has had to go to court to fight for what could or could not fall under fair use. He won a landmark case back in 2017 regarding this very issue. So there is some precedent there. At the same time, it really seems as though from the outside looking in, that this is targeted very specifically as some sort of revenge or something, or to be made an example of or something. Yes. We're sure that there are plenty of official and unofficial outlets out there who showed the clip as news or commentary who have not had to face and will not face any legal repercussions.
Which is, it's a weird approach. This might have a Streisand effect or some sort of unintended consequence because, I mean, the H3 podcast is very popular. Mm-hmm. So you're immediately alienating and pissing off a very large audience.
And outspoken audience.
Yeah, large, loud audience of people who presumably are in the target demographic you're trying to market Triller to.
Yes.
It seems maybe not too logical. But anyway, taking this to court and seeing it through, it could end up completely backfiring on Triller because, if a judge rules in favor of H3 and once again sets a precedent regarding fair use, then Triller would have just opened itself up for anyone and everyone to produce content using their footage as long as they're commenting on it, reporting on it, or modifying it enough to see where it would fall into the same guidelines.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will be an interesting one to watch if it ever actually goes to trial. I mean, as we said before, Ethan literally just did a stream on Thursday giving some updates regarding the lawsuit, but nothing outside of what's been reported. However, he doesn't seem too incredibly worried about it. So again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But obviously, we hope this lawsuit gets dropped.
It's ridiculous.
Or, I don't know, or that it goes to court and the judge rules in favor of Ethan and Gila and tells Triller and the rest of the world that it is fair use. And that would result in...
everyone doing this.
Yeah, I would just throw random Triller fight clips into our episodes just for the hell of it.
Hey, let's watch him get knocked out one more time.
Oh!
Yeah, there he is.
There it is. There's the commentary.
And they're just like, "Ooh, we shouldn't have done that. We should now. Everyone can do it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if that happens, if it works out how we want it to, that'd be great. It'd be totally legal.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, even if Ethan is stressing about this, which, I mean, if you were getting sued for $50 million, regardless of whether or not it's frivolous, that sucks.
Yeah.
And it's an extra burden on your life that you have to deal with. Like, at the very least, you have to fucking call up your lawyers on retainer, be like, "Hey, so it happened again."
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely something that weighs on you. But, like, I don't know. Who knows? Like, only time will tell. Seemingly, the other lawsuits were either thrown out or whatever within weeks. So it doesn't look like it should take too much time to hear some kind of verdict on this. But interesting, I guess. Bold move, Triller.
Very bold.
Also threatening everyone that would potentially watch it. Like, by the way, we know you pirated it just for a little taste. But why don't you go ahead and give us that money or we're going to fucking sue you.
Yeah, it's an interesting tactic.
Well, if you watched it and you feel like giving them money, you have until June 1st.
Yeah. Or the big hammer of justice is going to come and ruin your life. You will owe millions of dollars to Jake Paul. Anyway, moving on now from that nonsense over to big mainstream Hollywood entertainment news.
Hollywood.
Ellen is done. Ellen is no more. Ellen is officially putting an end to her show, but it's guys, has nothing to do. It's totally unrelated to the fact that she was exposed last year for being a pretty terrible person to work for or be interviewed by or just be around in general. Has nothing to do with that.
No, absolutely
nothing to do with those lies, by the way.
Which were
prove it.
In an interview she did with like the Today Show, it was like just weird how coordinated it all was. Like that people working behind the scenes of her show who rely on her for their employment.
Yeah.
Decided to take her down for
that's
something
always
completely pointless.
That's one of my favorite bullshit defenses whenever anyone gets like outed for being a terrible person. There's like, isn't it interesting how everyone's revealing how much they hate me at the same time? It's like, yeah, that's how shit fucking works. Like one person says something and then someone else is like,
yeah, I also had a bad experience.
Yeah, that's just how fucking shit works.
Yeah.
Anyways, has nothing to do with any of that. Ellen is obviously a saint.
Yeah.
She's a fun-loving.
She likes to dance.
She likes to dance. She loves memes. She loves ruining memes.
Yeah. A meme killer.
So yeah, nothing to do with that. Totally not the reason she's throwing in the towel. In fact, she claims that the reason she's ending her show is it's just not a challenge anymore.
No.
Sounds a bit weird. I mean, sounds like the greatest challenge she could ask for was trying to revive her show after a bunch of people in front of and behind the camera claimed that she was a monster and a bully. That seems like quite the challenge.
Yeah, it's all uphill from there.
Invigorating.
Yeah.
But yeah, her show will be coming to an end after 19 seasons on the air and a complete nosedive in ratings after she returned to the air following the expose about the work environment on her show, something that had been an open secret in the entertainment industry for years.
We talked about it when it happened, but like knowing anyone that has worked in production,
she's a fucking monster.
Yeah, there's definitely stories.
I've known multiple people. It's yeah, and I remember like COVID especially pushed it over the line where she.
Well, yeah, she like using like non-union people, like her union employees weren't getting paid.
I don't remember the specifics, but it's basically she didn't keep her staff in the loop at all.
It's like, oh, by the way, the show's airing, and I'm doing it from my living room.
We're going on indefinite hiatus for COVID, and then she brought the show back, but without contacting any of her actual crew, just hiring a bunch of fucking scabs to like set up her webcam for her.
Yeah, and of course the now infamous interview with was it
Dakota Johnson?
Dakota Johnson, yeah. And the one where there's so many that, like, in hindsight, you can point out. There's Mariah Carey, like, bullying Mariah Carey into admitting that she was pregnant.
Oh my God, yeah.
Even like the interview that she did with Savannah Guthrie about canceling the show, like, she seemed like really irritated by every question.
Yeah, she's got some very
Negative energy.
Sinister energy
Yeah.
underneath her veneer.
Yeah, it's like the zoom in shot where it's all like flowers and happiness and happy music, and the closer you get to her face, it's the screams of thousands.
Yeah.
Anyways, now over to something that you all actually care about.
Other than Ellen, which you, of course, care about a lot.
At least more than Ellen news. Adult Swim movies and Knives Out casting confirmations.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, first up, a bunch of staples from the Adult Swim animation catalog are going to be getting feature film treatments. Venture Brothers, Metalocalypse, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which already had an actual theatrical movie under its belt, they'll all be getting feature-length releases, though it looks like these won't be going to theaters.
Oh.
From Deadline, rather than send the movie straight to Adult Swim's sister HBO Max immediately, the pics will get a release worldwide on Blu-ray, DVD, and PVOD and electronic sell-through with a 90-day exclusive window before hitting the streaming service and Adult Swim. All three of the series were some of the first original productions to air on Adult Swim. I said it before, I'll say it again. Bring back C-Lab 2021. It's the perfect year.
C-Lab was fucking great.
Yeah.
I saw the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie in theaters.
So did I.
I was so high that as soon as the movie ended, I was like, I don't remember anything. My mind is absolutely blank. I've completely lost the ability to form short-term memories.
And that's their fault because they knew their audience was going to get high as shit.
Like, I remember I was just laughing the whole time. It was the funniest fucking thing, but I have zero memory of anything that happened in it.
I remember where I was. I was at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood. I remember who I was with, and I remember one part of the movie specifically and nothing else. The intro.
With, like,
with Mastodon.
Yeah, that was sick.
Doing the go to the lobby.
That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, the article gives some information about each of these films, starting with Metalocalypse. The new Metalocalypse movie, from co-creators Brendan Small and Tommy Blancha, follows the power-hungry tribunal as they unveil their secret and deadly Falconback project. This is against a backdrop of a world which is growing embattled in chaos with the menacing Doomstar breaching the Earth's atmosphere. Meanwhile, the mysterious and twisted descent of a band member threatens the future of Deathclock. Picking up directly after the heroic rescue of Toki Wartooth, can Deathclock choose between their egos and the greater good of the world to embark on a gauntlet of dangers that will try their very souls? And finally, write the song that will be their salvation?
I did have to say, I saw Deathclock live, and it was awesome. So
what?
Maybe they'll tour again.
I assume it's Brendan Small.
Yeah, and there was a screen with, like, animations.
Oh, so they do it like guerrilla style.
Yeah, and I think Mastodon opened for them, it was some pretty good metal band that opened for them when I saw them. I saw them at the Palladium, and it was sold out, so they drew a huge crowd.
Brendan Small is legit, like, extremely musically talented. It's weird.
Yeah. In the Venture Brothers movie, Doc's latest invention will either bankrupt the Ventures or launch them to new heights. As Hank searches for himself, Dean searches for Hank. The Monarch searches for answers, and a mysterious woman from their past threatens to bring the entire world crashing down on them. Aqua Teen Hunger Force will be a continuation of the hit animated series, whereby fans will find out what happens next with Frylock, Meatwad, and Master Shake, who consider themselves crime fighters, but the truth is they never fight crime. I'll say the one thing that I've enjoyed, it's probably been years now, but it's like the last thing I really...
Stone Cold Lock of the Week.
I was just going to say, Lock of the Century. Every week, what's his name, Carl or whatever, doing fantasy football picks.
Yeah.
That was the best thing on YouTube. I loved it. Anyways, no release date was given, but we can't imagine that we'd have to wait too long. Probably next year.
Yeah. Anyway, over in Knives Out casting news.
Yeah.
Yet another ensemble cast is being meticulously assembled, and it's looking like that gigantic Netflix budget is being put to good use, because just this week it was announced that Edward Norton, Dave Bautista, Janelle Monáe, and Catherine Hahn were all announced to be joining the new Knives Out movie alongside Daniel Craig in this sequel, once again directed by Rian Johnson, who directed everyone's favorite Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, it literally was my favorite of the new ones.
Me too.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful who you say that to.
The casino scene with the girl.
Why are there Asians and black people in space? Anyway, these definitely will not be the last names announced for this Knives Out cast. And as you'll remember, Netflix bought the rights to 2 sequels for nearly $500 million. So you would expect these films to be just outrageous.
Yeah.
Balls to the walls. Still not sure if the plan is to release them in theaters exclusively before the films head to the streaming platform, or if they will get any theatrical releases at all. But we would assume with these big casts and these big budgets, they'd Probably want to, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, so far Netflix has done just very specific targeted theatrical release specifically for award shows.
Awards consideration. They'll just put it up at the Egyptian, which they own, for like the requisite 2 weeks.
But I feel like with something like this mass appeal that this might be a nationwide release. I don't know. It seems like, I mean, it wouldn't be a waste because people have Netflix and they'd watch it on there. It's just like, this was a real fun movie to see in theaters.
Yeah.
Especially with friends and stuff.
I quite enjoyed it.
Anyways, we've got more news for you, including a bunch of updates on stories we've been reporting on. But first, we have to take a quick break to thank today's sponsor, Masterclass, which is perfect if you're trying to learn some tips about acting so you can star in a Knives Out sequel one day and get some of that Netflix money.
Or you can get your knives out and learn some cooking stuff from like Gordon Ramsay, I believe.
Or woodwork.
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to try something new or perfect the skills that you have in a certain area but couldn't break through whatever it was that was holding you back? Well, that's where Masterclass shines because you're getting information from literally the best people in the business from a variety of fields like cooking, music, film, animation, business, tech, and plenty more. With Masterclass, you can learn from the world's best minds anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace.
You can learn the art of DJing and music curation from Questlove. You can improve your cooking skills from Gordon Ramsay, or learn game design and game theory from Will Wright. With over 100 classes from a range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to do is closer than you think. I've said this every time we bring this up, but the Tom Morello guitar class is very cool.
Yeah.
You get a lot of, if you're into Rage Against the Machine at all, even if you don't play guitar, it's just a very cool insight into his whole process.
Yeah, and I watched a few chefs' videos to work on my flair in the kitchen. I've got the basics down, but there's something that elevates you from just cooking food for yourself to doing something that's presentable for other people, not just you and your significant other.
Anyway, these cinema quality classes give you unparalleled access to literal experts, and the lessons range from showing you how to execute a technique to insights about that craft. You can explore lessons in any order across your phone, tablet, Apple TV, or computer, and at just 10 to 15 minutes, you can squeeze a few lessons in here or there without setting aside an entire day. If you're interested, we definitely think you should check it out. Get unlimited access to every masterclass, and for our viewers, you get 15% off an annual membership by just going to masterclass.com/newsdump. That is masterclass.com/newsdump for 15% off Masterclass.
All right, now back into the news with an update on the gas crisis.
I got a gas crisis.
In his pants. Yes, the gas crisis that has apparently decimated the east coast of these United States because as we said on the last episode, we apparently learned nothing from the pandemic and have once again created our own shortage. The pipeline is back on, folks. So you better sell all that gasoline that you bagged up.
Sell it before it's not worth anything.
Yeah, it's going to be widely available real soon, if not already. Poke a hole in that bag and just go around spraying it around in other people's mouths, I guess, if they're willing to pay for it. Now, to recap, the largest gas pipeline that provides fuel to pretty much the entire east coast of the country was the victim of a ransomware attack, and out of an abundance of caution, they shut down their pipeline. That caused a ton of people to just start stocking up on that sweet, sweet gas because they assumed that it was just never coming back. That's it. That's all we've got. So people were filling up canisters. They were filling up buckets, storage containers, even trash bags with gasoline so that they wouldn't run out or so they could resell it at a premium.
Yeah.
$14 a gallon. I'll poke a hole in that bag.
Best I can do is 13. Now, of course, all of this hoarding actually resulted in the gas shortage because everyone was taking 10 times more than they needed in order to hoard it. And we were convinced that it was only a matter of time before we saw one of these idiots on the news because they inadvertently caused an explosion or a fire, or at least, I don't know, threw their back out trying to lift jugs of gas in their trunk, maybe passed out while driving because their backseat was just full of like open buckets.
Damn, I'm high as hell.
Whoa! Well, here you go from a local NBC affiliate in which state do you think it's going to be? Yeah, that's right, Florida.
Yeah.
A Hummer.
They actually needed the gas.
Right off the fucking bat.
They needed the gas. They were like, I don't think you guys understand.
Yeah.
I need 10
I get 1 mile
things
a gallon. A Hummer burst into flames late Wednesday morning right after firefighters say the driver filled up several gas cans in Citrus County. According to a spokesperson for Citrus County Fire Rescue, the driver had just filled up gas cans at the Texaco Food Mart near the scene. Firefighters found 4 5-gallon containers filled with gasoline in the back of the Hummer.
Now, apparently, and this is just according to random people on the internet, but apparently the fire is alleged to have started because the driver was smoking. which is just perfect. So I choose to believe.
What?
Yeah.
No.
But, to further solidify just how dumb this whole thing is, even if the cigarette part isn't true, that local affiliate added a note to the end of the article, pleading for people not to hoard gas and explaining that there is absolutely no need for concern, especially in Florida, because, quote, Florida gets 90% of its gas supply from cargo ships and not the pipeline that was shut down because of the ransomware attack. This was entirely because of hoarding.
We're so fucked. The second any real crisis hits this country, we're going down the drain.
It's
immediately.
bad. It's going to be very bad. But back to the pipeline, though. Now, as we said, it is already back online and operational just a few days after being taken down. So all that hoarding was pointless, and the gas shortage was completely self-inflicted by morons. But it turns out the company who owns the pipeline and was the victim of the attack actually ended up paying a ton of money in ransom.
I mean,
So
it worked. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
From Bloomberg, Colonial Pipeline Company paid nearly $5 million to Eastern European hackers on Friday, contradicting reports earlier this week that the company had no intention of paying an extortion fee to help restore the country's largest fuel pipeline.
All right, fine.
According to two people familiar with the transaction. The company paid the hefty ransom in difficult-to-trace cryptocurrency within hours after the attack, underscoring the immense pressure faced by the Georgia-based operator to get gasoline and jet fuel flowing again to major cities along the eastern seaboard, those people said. A third person familiar with the situation said U.S. government officials are aware that Colonial made the payment. Once they received the payment, the hackers provided the operator with a decrypting tool to restore its disabled computer network. The tool was so slow that the company continued using its own backups to help restore the system, one of the people familiar with the company's efforts said. In the wake of the attack, President Joe Biden signed an executive order making it a requirement that government employees use two-factor authentication. Guys, you hear about this two-factor authentication?
Yeah. They even have apps dedicated to it.
Which, it's both shocking to hear that this wasn't a requirement already. It's also somehow not surprising at all, whatsoever.
No. Hey, you guys hear about this two-factor? They send you a little text message.
So the way we have it now is, you
type in password 1.
And you get in. But this way, it checks your phone. You got to go on your phone and go beep, bop, boop.
And I know this is going to be very hard to digest for a lot of you plant managers out there who, find it very easy to just have one password so anyone can walk in and work on things. Yeah, you're going to you're going to have to open up your text message app and make sure that the right person's doing it. Or, I don't know, give everyone individual logins with their own passwords. That might, help things out.
Yeah.
Because if you'll remember, the most recent one a couple months ago was like, there's one login and one password.
Yeah, the sewage plant that almost poisoned an entire city.
Oops.
Oh, we should probably have individual passwords that change every 45 days or so.
Yeah.
Instead of just giving everyone, okay, so its password is 12345. Don't tell anyone.
It's worked this way for 20 some odd years, and I'll be damned if I'm the one to change it.
It's my lucky password.
Anyways, let's check in on one of the nation's leading minds when it comes to all things cyber, Mike Lindell, who recently launched the revolutionary social media platform Frank Speech. This past week, weeks after its actual launch, Lindell held a launch party for the platform at a venue that is described as and literally called the Corn Palace. Apparently, the website, it had just been in beta the past few weeks because this Corn Palace party was billed as the official launch of the site. So how did it go? Well, about as good as the launch of the actual website itself. Apparently, some dedicated pillowheads out there eagerly waited in line for hours for it to finally open. And when it did, it was a big waste of time, and it didn't even come close to selling out, so there was no point in waiting out front anyway.
Yeah, this was very funny.
Mm-hmm.
From Insider, supporters of MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell were said to have stood in line for hours to attend his rally in South Dakota on Monday. But the Corn Palace venue was only half full for the event. Photos shared on Twitter show lines snaking around the Corn Palace in Mitchell. The Dickinson Press reported that some people stood in line for up to 7 hours for the free event, which let people in on a first-come, first-served basis. The venue fits about 3,000 people, and photos on Twitter suggested it was about half full for the event.
Imagine that. And I guarantee you he was like, it is first come, first served.
Listen, not all of you are going to get in.
It's just like the Trump rallies, where they're just like, you better get there or you're not going to get in. And make sure you're wearing your corncob hats and your MyPillow t-shirts with a big cross hanging around your neck so you can stand behind me for all the crowd shots. And let's get some black people back there, too.
Anyways, yeah, this event, again, it seems to just mirror the website, Frank's speech itself. Once inside, the rally consisted of just a few guests and then just Mike Lindell ranting about election fraud for 90 minutes straight. That's it.
Yeah.
People drove from far and wide.
People apparently drove at least
From, like,
one.
Texas?
Yeah, at least one person drove from Texas.
Just like 10 hours or something.
Yeah.
It's he's got fans, very dedicated fans. I don't think any of our fans would drive that far just to see us rant.
Well, that's the thing is that it was, what he's going to have that final piece of truth when we go there in the Corn Palace.
Yeah.
He's been saving it for the Corn Palace appearance.
The Corn Palace.
Anyways, now over to a company we haven't heard anything new from in a while outside of the Hulu documentary, which just covered the initial rise and fall of the company and profiled its very strange CEO. We're talking about WeWork. And they've got a new CEO who just made pretty much everyone who's enjoyed working from home over the past year or so very angry. And also, I think, probably hurt more potential business for his own company in the process. The new CEO of WeWork, Sandeep Mathrani, he recently spoke at a Wall Street Journal event where he basically said that anyone who wants to continue working from home, they are not as invested in the companies that they work for as someone who is willing to make that commute and show face.
From the New York Times. Those who are least engaged are very comfortable working from home, Sandeep Mathrani, the CEO of WeWork, said at a Wall Street Journal event on Wednesday. Those who are uberly engaged with the company want to go to the office 2/3 of the time at least. People are happier when they come to work, he added. Buddy, so first of all, no, absolutely not. A lot of people are really, really happy not to have any commute in the morning, especially when a lot of companies are in cities that are prohibitively expensive to live in, which drives the commute time even further up. And it's just a huge waste of time, energy, and productivity. You show up to work angry, you get home angry. There's like fucking 3 hours out of the day just gone. Anyway, secondly, I mean, wouldn't it be in this guy's best interest for companies to adopt flexible work from home schedules, then get rid of their offices and have to use his company's offerings whenever they needed to do something in person? Or is he just banking on the fact that everyone's just going to operate full-time in WeWorks? Seems to me it would be more beneficial to WeWork if millions more people could utilize their short-term office rentals as needed.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, imagine, I don't know, a big company here in Los Angeles is like, look, we're going flex work from home. If we have like big meetings or we need to do a company together thing, we'll figure it out. But look, we're going to stop paying $750,000 a month on this office building.
Yeah.
And instead, when we have to have meetings, we'll just go to the WeWork and rent a boardroom.
Yeah.
What?
It's smart.
Anyways, finally, it appears as though the trading card craze has become a bit too overwhelming for at least one of the country's largest retailers. And they are banning the in-store sale of Pokemon and sports trading cards because of it.
This is like my middle school. Anytime something got too cool, they'd ban it.
You can't play Pogs. That's gambling.
Yeah.
No mention. I looked around. No mention of Magic the Gathering cards. They haven't hit peak craze yet. But as of Friday of this week, customers were met with the following signs in what used to be the trading card section of the stores. To ensure the safety of our guests and team members, effective May 14th, MLB, NFL, NBA, and Pokemon trading cards will no longer be sold in stores until further notice. This is seemingly in direct response to numerous fights and violent outbursts in stores and in the parking lots over these cards, especially on days when they were being restocked. Because Pokemon would go like that.
I mean, Pokemon, I guess I could see that. I didn't know sports trading cards were really all that popular with this current generation.
And it's one of those things where it's like, because of the coronavirus pandemic, the market for any collectibles immediately skyrocketed. And then you have that built-in scarcity that comes with a lot of the trading cards, and apparently sports trading cards as well. So you have people waiting in line at Target like 5 o'clock in the morning on Fridays when they're going to restock stuff, and then getting in fights. It's like, okay, we can handle this once a console cycle. There's a bunch of people outside trying to fight each other for Nintendo Switches. Fine. Once every couple of years, sure. But this is happening every Friday, people getting into fights. And one recent incident, which has to be the thing that like sent them over the edge, was someone brandished a firearm during a fight in the parking lot.
Give me that Charizard.
Yeah, and now you can still buy the cards online or just head over to your local game store and support them. Just don't, if you're going to go to your local game store, I mean, this is just general advice, but specifically at your local game store who doesn't want the trouble, don't fight people or pull a gun on anyone.
Yeah.
Just give them the money and receive the product and leave.
Just do the transaction. Yeah.
Y'all here to transact, right? Anyways, that's it for today's episode. We'll be back with Weekly Weird News, and there's some updates in there that are going to be doozies. But in the meantime, please check out our most recent episodes where you can get context about our silly intro here by looking at YouTube's algorithm based on introductions across the entire website, and also our most recent episode from this week. Check both of those out, and we'll see you very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.